1 in verse 6. Thamazo. Hote. Hutos. Toxios. Metati theste. Apo. 2. Kali Santos. Himas. In. Kariti. Christu. Ace. Hetero. Euangelio. All right, now some of these words may sound familiar to you. How many of you have had some Greek before? No Greek? No?
Just with you.
Just with me. All right, Randall's and David and Marilyn are the old timers in the class tonight, I guess. David, how long have you been in the class?
7 years.
7 years.
It's been a long.
All right, 7 years. Randall, how long?
Maybe 3 to 4 years. Maybe.
Yeah, something like this. Mitch, you've been here a lot longer, right? I think you've been here for quite a while. And Rebecca?
This is my 3rd year, I think.
Your 3rd year. Okay. Now, can you read Greek yet?
Yeah, most of I can. Not
Did you study it at home at all? No.
I could follow.
Just in class. All right. Now, I've had 16 classes of Hebrew on Sunday afternoon at 4:30. And we're doing the book of Genesis. And the ones that have stuck it out for 16 classes are now able to read some Hebrew, believe it or not. Never looked at it before. Okay? Greek is so much like English that it's going to be easy for you. It's so much like English. There's only a few letters that look different. All right? That's only a few. Thamazo. All right? Thamazo. Look at that one. We got a TH there at the front of it. That's like a TH, a theta. Thamazo. The M looks like the backwards Y. And the zeta there looks, it's a, as you see, thamazo. All right? Hotehutos toxios. Thamazo means first person singular. The verb is. This is a verb. First person singular, present, indicative, active. If you look along your little charts there, it'll say omenediusiane. That's the present, indicative, active endings on verbs, okay? Now, I don't expect you to learn all those things. You can see it and you can learn it as we go, okay? But you can look it up in your analytical Greek lexicon. Have you got yours here tonight, Randall? No. Analytical Greek lexicon. Mine, I had to cover it with leather years ago. I have to do the same thing to my Hebrew one. But every word in Greek is analytically put down. You can find out if it's in this Bible. You can look it up in this book. It's actually a blue book, blue cover, and you can find it. It's printed by Zondervan back in the 70s. You can buy them used. They don't sell them new, but this is the best analytical Greek lexicon there ever has been. And as you can see, I did a lot of noting in it. I improved it, added things that they didn't have, and whatever. In my edition of it, it's 444 pages, I think. And I had memorized a lot of these page numbers because I've written them down so many times. And this is what I cross-reference all your interlinears to, is this book. All right? Anyway, if you look on down there underneath the page number, some of them go out, and I'll give you the page number on them also. Okay? So you can look it up later. But this is where it comes from. This is a study book. Scholars, when you really get in the language. My teachers at the seminary where I went 12 years because I was so slow. I did earn a couple of doctorates in the meanwhile. But 12 years of it, and they used to teach me, you won't learn anything here except how to learn. So you're going to learn. When you graduate with your doctorate, you will just have the tools to learn. That's all. That's it. You know what I'm talking about. This is a doctor setting right there, Dr. David there. When you graduate with your doctorate, you now have tools to learn. And a person will absolutely hinder himself and cripple himself and handicap himself if you don't learn the languages of the Bible. you can't really see what's there. A man by the name of John A. Broadus, that was A.T. Robertson's father-in-law. If you know who A.T. Robertson's word pictures of the New Testament, you know, he did so much. The great big grammar this thick. A.T. Robertson, actually the guy that wrote all this stuff was John A. Broadus. That was his father-in-law. John A. Broadus said, a preacher that does not look at his text from the original language is not worthy to stand in the pulpit. If he does, you go back and look at every word in that text to make sure it's there in the original language and what it does say. And you'll learn that as we go along. There's a whole lot of difference from the Hebrew and in the Greek than is in the translation. Matter of fact, the book of Genesis is not translated, it's interpreted. And all the translations, it's not translated. It's interpreted. And those of you that have been in the 16 classes know exactly what I'm talking about. All right. Richard Trench. Richard Tomanah Trench. He was a great language scholar. If you read his work, you have to be able to read it Aramaic and Hebrew and Greek. How many of you ever heard of Kyle and Delish? Kyle and Delish, the Hebrew commentary on the Old Testament. It's in Hebrew. It's in Greek. It cross-references the Septuagint. And it's in German and Latin and Aramaic or whatever. Chaldee. Whatever it goes into, you get to look at it. Well, I'm going to refer to this tonight because this is a great tool in your New Testament Greek studies, okay? Richard Trench. And you can find that book still, I think it's in print. I wonder, first person singular, present, indicative, active, from thamazo, that's exactly the root here. It means to be amazed. I wonder that thus, that hote hutos, that thus, in this very way, a little adverb, conjunction hote, and then toxios, there's another adverb, right? Toxios. Have you ever heard the name taxi? Our English word taxi comes from this. Taxi means what? When you want to get someplace quick, you holler and hail a taxi. So just remember this word from that way, taxi. That means quickly, promptly, readily. Metatheste. Second person, ye. Now, you know how English is, all right? In Greek, it's the same way. It says, your I is first person singular. You is second person singular. Three, he, she, or an it, okay? I, you, and then plural is we, ye, and you all, okay? Or they, I mean. I don't even have a, and they, and then the infinitive is to be, something or other. All right? Now let's look at this. Ye is present tense. All right? Middle voice and indicative mode. Present tense means it's going on right now, isn't it? Present tense. Middle voice, what does that mean? Now, it's really important. Subjunctive and middle voice and passive voice and all of this is real important in Greek and in Hebrew. Okay?
It's not the leading voice.
Middle voice?
No, it is not the leading voice.
Yeah. In other words, you're doing it for yourself. Self-volition. Okay? Self-volition. Remember this now. Brother David, last week we were talking about the subjunctive mode. You're going to see that later on too. You're going to see it being, it's indicative. That means true. Indicative mode, the indicative mode means an absolute statement, okay? Present, indicative, middle voice, all right? You are across standing is what it literally says. You're going away, you're changing places, you're transferring, all right, from apo. What about somebody that is apostate? What happens when they are apostate? Apostate. It comes from two Greek words, apo and stasias. It means they stand away. And here he's using this word. Now they're changing places and they're standing away from apo to kali santos. All right? From the having called ye in grace. Having called, that comes from kallio. Our word call comes right out of the Greek word kallio, okay? Kallio. the name, the word church. Church, Kirche, in German, Iglesia in Spanish, in Greek is ecclesia. All right? That comes from ek and collego. All right? Here's the word collego. All right? The word church means one's called out. When you talk about a church, you're not talking about a building. You're talking about an assembly. All right? An assembly. One's called out. These are the individuals. That word assembly comes from collio. That's the root of this word right here. Having called. Now, it's first aorist. It is a participle, but a participle is a marriage between a verb and a noun. Okay? And in English, this would be kind of like a having called. That would be like a gerund. Okay? Having called. Now, here you have first aorist, indicative active. Okay? First aorist, indicative active, or first aorist participle active, that is. And genitive singular masculine. All right? From. Genitive is a case of origin. You're called from what? Having called, you are standing away from, you're apostatizing from the having called ye in grace, Christ. Christo. What's the word in Hebrew for Christo?
Hamashiach.
Hamashiach, the Messiah. All right. Christo comes from Creo, and it means to be anointed, the anointed one. Now, someone has talked you out of your original grace, and you're trading grace for slavery. That's what Paul's about to indict them with. Having called ye in grace, karita. All right, karita. That comes from charis and Cairo, page 435. If you want to write that down, if you want to look it up in the analytical Greek lexicon, that word charis, karite. In grace, you're in grace. Ephesians 2:8. Can anybody quote me Ephesians 2:8? Ephesians 2:8.
The grace you are saved.
All right, by grace you're saved.
And by works.
Uh-huh.
That's no man should boast.
Uh-huh.
Is that right?
That's right. And it says in Greek, for in grace, for inside of grace ye are having been saved through faith, and that faith didn't come out of you, it is a gift of God, not of works. So you can't boast. For ye are saved in grace. Now it says here, you were saved in grace, but you stood away from grace. You were saved in kariti. See that word in there? By the way, you can look at that one up on page 137, that word in. It's just like in English, in. Same thing, preposition, just like English. Having called ye in grace of Christ. And then it says, eis heteron euangelio. All right, eis. Eis. The little Greek preposition eis. That's a very important word. Can anybody quote me the rule? Grammatical rule for eis. Huh?
Extension or limitation of thought or verbal action.
You get A+ tonight, brother.
Wait a minute, it's not me.
All right. Now, you can look that word up on page 119 in that analytical Greek lexicon. And the Hebrew equivalent to it is what? Et. And you can look that one up on page 84 in Brown, Driver, and Briggs.
What does that mean?
Huh?
What does that mean when you just say?
Extension or limitation of third verbal action. All right? It has the idea, in Greek, it is bigger than in Hebrew. In Hebrew, it's a sign of the direct object. That's what it is right there, sign of direct object. Et is. It says, Barashith, bara, Elohim et Hashemayim ve et haaretz. That's Genesis 1:1. Okay? We have Elohim creating et Hashemayim. All right? Et. Sign of direct object. The action is going to the Hashemayim. All right? The heavens. And then it says be et, and action again, et, to the haaretz, the earth. Okay? He created the heavens and he created the earth. Okay?
So it points to the object. That
It points to the object. It's coming from God and it's being that. Now, In Greek, it's bigger than that. All right? This is the equivalent in Hebrew, but in Greek, it's bigger. And I'm telling you the difference in this. In Hebrew, it always means the action is going that way. But in Greek, sometimes the action goes, the ace, extension or limitation of thought or verbal action, it can go forward or it can go backwards. You're saved, you're baptized, ace, I'll face it. Acts 2:38. You're baptized why? You didn't get baptized to get saved. You're baptized because you were saved, because your sins were forgiven. Your sins were sent away. You're baptized because you have been saved. Baptist, Brother Brady there, he's an old-time, his family, old-time Baptist. Baptists always said, you baptize believers.
We invented it.
Yeah. You baptize believers. You don't baptize people to become believers. You baptize believers because they are believers. We're saved, we're baptized because we have been saved. Now, I was looking at extension or limitation of thought or verbal action. You really need to remember that rule. I know Brother Ken Glenn went back to Louisville, Kentucky Seminary, and he started rattling off all. He had about 5 or 6 years of my Greek, and he went back there and he said, "That's baby Greek." He said, "I don't know anything." Baby Greek. I went back, he started quoting all these rules, and the teachers didn't even know the rules. They didn't know what he was even talking about. But it means a whole lot. It means a lot. Ace. Unto and into. Here, heteron. And that word means a completely different kind. Completely different kind of species. Heteron. Totally different gospel. Euangelion. When the word evangelize, the word evangelize comes right out of that word, right there, evangelize. It means good message. It comes from good, evangelize. It means euangelion, euangelion. Good angel is what it literally says, or good message. All right? Unto a different gospel. Now, let's go to 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
When I first returned to Baker Street and trying to live for the scripture always was hanging over my head as there's a way that seems right to man, but the end thereof is
The ways of
death.
Patos.
And I've never really sunk into understanding that. But maybe
Well,
that's what's happening in this.
Yes. They heard the truth, but now they have become apostate. They have become reprobate. Bad term. We're going to get into that. Reprobate. Maranatha. Anathema, Maranatha. We're going to see that later. Maranatha. 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 Oh, I'll get it. Maranatha. Okay. I couldn't tongue tie. Maranatha. That means the Lord shall come. But before that, it is anathema.
Yeah, one more thing.
Yeah.
I'm a substitute teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in a history class the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and they used a Greek word, and it caught my attention. One of the Greek leaders crossed a river, and he used this phrase, and it means no turning back.
Yeah.
Huh?
I can't think of the term.
But
I know
that
no
was
turning back. Yeah.
the
No
lesson
turning
was about that.
Mhm.
When he crossed the river,
Mhm.
he used this Greek phrase,
Yeah.
and it was that at this point there's no turning back.
Yeah.
Is that similar to
Well, now these people had heard the gospel. You know, in the book of Hebrews, we just finished the book of Hebrews just a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. The Hebrew letter was to Hebrew Christians, so-called Hebrew Christians, that had gone back into Judaism. And whoever wrote the letter to the Hebrews, he was lambasting them hard. He said, after you've come to the knowledge of Christ, there is no more sacrifice for sins. What are you going to go back in there for? There is no more sacrifice for sins. There's no more reason for any more ceremonies. It's over. The ceremony is pointing to Christ, and He is the real person, not the type. He's not the shadow. He's the real deal. All right? Unto a different gospel. Unto a different gospel. All right, 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 1. 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 1. Are you there, Rebecca?
Moreover, brethren, I declare to you the gospel which I preached to you, which also you received and in which you stand, by which also you are saved, if you hold fast that word which I preached to you, unless you believed in vain.
All right. Which I preached to you unless you believed in vain. What do you mean believed in vain? That's exactly what happened here. They heard the gospel. They welcomed it to begin with, but they weren't saved. And they were religious. Religious. What does the word religion mean?
Works.
Religion. What does it literally mean?
Lying there together.
All right.
Lying there.
All right. The act of on the back means, or ION means the act of. We have a suffix, we have a root, and we have a prefix. All right. The act of, that's where that one is. And then in the front, re means back again. And the word legger, it comes from legere, okay? Legere, our word ligament, comes from that word legere, okay? So the act of binding back again. The idea of religion altogether is to bind you back to God because you have strayed. And we did it in the Garden of Eden so long ago. Mankind did. But religion can damn you. It can keep you away from God. And this religion that he's talking about here, we're going to find out Paul is using some horrific terms for these people. He said, you've got a different gospel. All right? And your religion is binding you away from God, not to God. Away from God. You are apostate and reprobate. What does reprobate mean? One who has denied the faith.
It says it will give
Has
them up.
stood away from the faith.
It says in the last days he'll give them up to
Reprobate mind. What's wrong with the homosexuals in the world today? They're reprobate. Romans, the first chapter, okay? Now let's go to verse number 7. They are preaching a completely different gospel. In 2 Corinthians 11 and 4, Paul said that they preached a different Jesus. All right? Ho-uk. Eston. Alo. Ame. Tines. Asen. Hoi. Tarasantos. Himas. Kai. Telontes. Metastrese. To Euangelion. To Christu. All right. Now, Paul's talking about this. The last time I taught this class was 1976. That's a long time ago. You know that? See that? I wrote up there. I must have been teaching in the seminary at that time. 1976. Which not is another of the same kind. That word all means another of the same kind. Except, or but, some, they are the ones disturbing. Parasontes, disturbing. All right? Now that is nominative plural masculine and present participle active. They are doing this all the time. They are constantly disturbing ye, imas. All right? Accusative plural second person pronoun, imas. They're troubling you. All right? And constantly wishing. Delontes. Remember last week, I think it was, we looked at Ephesians, the first chapter, the word thelo there, theomate. It means the spiritual activating force comes on that theoma, all right? This thelo. They have a spiritual activating force working with them, and it is not of this world. You know, we have a message from outer space. That's the Bible. From another dimension and another realm. The Bible came, that's why it can tell prophecy and everything, because it's outside of time and space. But in space and time, God broke into space and time right here. And God became flesh. Kahalogos again, so John 1:14. And the Word, Jehovah, flesh, He became. And He dwelt among us. He broke into space and time because He wished to save us. Okay? But there are people here, why in their garden? We're studying, we're right at the 4th chapter of the book of Genesis in Hebrew. We're going to find out where the first false religionist shows up in there. His name is Cain. Remember that? Oh, even Jude had a few things to say about Cain. The ways of Cain were the ways of false religion. And when the false religion gets a hold of something, they start persecuting. They start wanting to kill. Why in what we call the Christian crusades that were not quite so Christian? Remember when the Muslims and the Christians were fighting all across Europe into the Middle East for hundreds and hundreds of years? Why the so-called Christian church there, the Catholic church, wasn't Christian? They were murderers. They murdered people by the millions. You study church history, and it's going to tell you the history of the Catholic Church. But they were real true Baptists back then, too, that really believed the truth. All during those period of time. But there was a wars, constantly warring, killing. False religion cannot stand to coexist with the truth. It always wants to persecute the truth and make the truth feel like it's going the wrong way. And wishing, constantly wishing, metastrepsa. All right? That means to turn about, to pervert, to twist. There's a word, also, a wicked word. It has the idea of someone loving to do this. And pornerio. That's wicked. Wicked, pornerio. We got a word pornography from it.
Could you put that on the board?
Pornerio?
Yeah, for that.
Okay.
Can you get that one? And that's in the place.
Well, no.
Wishing.
All I'm doing is that they're wishing to twist up. Pornerio means to twist it. Ponero means to twist up something. Twist it. The word prostitute comes from that. A prostitute takes a man's natural affection for a woman, she pretties herself all up, and she perverts the purpose of marriage and attraction. That's perversion. Pornography perverts sexual desire. Perverts it, twists it. Okay? This is what the word metastrepse. This is the idea also to turn around, to confuse, to turn things upside down. And told the gospel, to pervert the gospel of Christ. The gospel belongs to Christ. Genitive, singular, masculine. Definite article there, too. All right? Toheristikon arthron, that's the Greek term for it, the definite article. Okay? The Christ, not just some Messiah, the one, Hamashiach. All right? The Christ. This is a totally different gospel, a totally different religion, and Paul realized the very existence of the gospel, the true gospel, is at stake. So he uses some pretty strong words. And here they come. Allah. Kai. See that word Allah there? You can almost see that in English, can't you? Allah. All right? Kai. You can read that one if it's the same as if it's spelled in English. And then Eon. Himes. He. Angelos. Ex. Uranu. Euangeliste. Amen. Par. Ho. Euangelista mefa. Amen. Anathema. Esto. Boy, that word anathema, now that's a hard word. I'm going to tell you something. Anathema. There's two words. Now this, you're going to have to go into Thayer or a trench or something. Thayer will refer you to trench. Okay? Anathema and anathema. Anathema and anathema. See that right there? Two different words. Let me tell you about it. Okay? Anathema means to dedicate something. The word anathema, it comes from ana and tithemy. Ana and tithemy. Tithemy means to stand or to place. Okay? Ana and tithemy. Let me give you the root of this word. Let's look at it. But also if we are angels, or an angel out of heaven. Who was the first preacher of the false doctrine in the garden? He was an angel, wasn't he? That embodied Nahash, the snake. He embodied old Nahash, the snake. That sounds, say that, Nahash. Nahash. That's the snake's name, the deceiving serpent. All right? Arum, he became twisted and evil. God didn't create him that way. He became twisted and evil and perverted, foxy and smart to no good. All right. If an angel out of heaven should evangelize, third person singular, first aorist, middle and subjunctive. Look at that word, middle voice and subjunctive. We got a pretty good look at it here. Now, have angels turned and gone the wrong way? Possible. We find out from different places in the Bible, Isaiah 14, Ezekiel 28, and even the book of Revelation. It tells us that at least 1/3 of the angelic and spiritual forces went with the old Lucifer, Apollyon, the destroyer. All right? So angels can go the wrong way, can't they? They can go the wrong way. Now look at it. First aorist, indicative middle, if we preached for ourselves down there, and it says third person singular, first aorist, subjunctive middle. Middle voice. Does a angel have volition? Could they follow God or reject God? Sure. Does man have volition? Can he reject God or serve God? Is it possible? Middle voice. Subjunctive mode, middle voice. It depends on the person. Subjunctive mode. The subjunctive mode is a mode of doubtful affirmation. It either can go one way. It's what we call the maybe mode. Maybe or may not. Okay? So we see volition here. We see volition of all of the angelic and spiritual forces and mankind. It's turning back here, way back over yonder, Satan's path. He went the wrong way, didn't he? Why, he was an angel of light. Lucifer means light carrier. He was the light of this cosmos at one time. He was, until it became darkness. Darkness, so fallen, as it says. Darkness, so fallen. But, strong adversity conjunction, page 15, if you want to write that down, all. Chi is also here, and it means a cumulative particle, not a conjunction, page 208. Eon, that's a third-class condition. Condition undetermined with good prospect determination, okay? In Greek, there's 4 kinds of ifs. English, we have an if. Greek, there's 4 kinds of them. First, second, third, and fourth class conditions. All right, this is a third-class condition. Condition undetermined, but with prospect of determination. If we are angel out of heaven, should evangelize, third person singular, first aorist, indicative, or middle and subjunctive, that is, see there? There's volition in that, and you're going to see it every time in the Scriptures. This isn't just once. Every time this comes up, you're going to see this same doctrinal statement. There are people that don't believe this. I don't know how they swallow this and ignore it, but it's there, plain out. Okay? Hemen, T-E. Now, hemen there, it's in brackets, isn't it? It's understood anyway. It's what you call a practical substantive. It's there, whether you have it or not. And in the old manuscripts, it wasn't there, but it was understood, so they put it in there, but they put it in brackets. Okay? Par means, it comes from the preposition para, page 300, if you want to look that one up. Para. To ye, beside, outside, which we preach to ye, anathema. Esto. Anathema. Now let's look at that word, anathema. This word is anathema, with an epsilon instead of an eta. That's an epsilon instead of an eta. All right? Back in the Old Testament period of time, in the Old Testament times, when they brought a gold or silver to the temple or to the tabernacle, once you gave an offering to the tabernacle or to the temple, could you ever get it back? Was it redeemable? No. It was dedicated from now on. Dedicated from now on. You brought it and you gave it. In the pagan temples, this is an old word. In the pagan temples, when you went into a pagan temple, temple of Jupiter or whatever, Greek or Roman days, okay? When you went into these temples, if you donated your family coat of arms, and it was made out of solid gold and silver inlaid, bronze, whatever, and you went in there, it would be placed upon the wall, anathema, placed up upon the wall. See, this chart is placed upon the wall. That clock is placed upon the wall. Okay? It was placed upon the wall. It could never be taken down. It could not be redeemed back. Now that's the good sense of it. Okay? The good sense of it. Anathema.
Is it on a
Unredeemable.
Is it thema or thema?
Thema. Anathema, anathema, anathema. Okay? Anathema with the eta, it is the good sense. Okay? When you went in later on, when the Jews went in there, they went. Remember when they went into the Promised Land and they went into Ai? When they went into Jericho, God says everything in there is mine. You don't get to keep any of them.
Ai was after Jericho.
Ai was after Jericho. And when they went into Ai, the same story was, don't you take anything for yourself. I don't care how good it looks. It is anathema. It's cursed. It will be a curse to you. It's mine. God said it's mine. You go in there, and if you take it and keep it, it's going to curse you. Did that happen there in Ai? Remember the fellow that went in there and took the Babylonian garments and the gold and all the stuff, and he wanted to keep it, and he hid it in his tent. What happened to all of it? He got stoned, and it got stoned. Didn't he? Taken. Remember that guy? All right. Page 15 through page 19. And this little book right here tells you, this is a big, there's a lot of difference between these two words.
Wouldn't you say that this is a great warning?
Yes. It's a great warning. It's a horrendous warning. Okay? Anathema and anathema. All right, I'm going to put it up for the camera to see.
How about anathema? Is that
This is it. This is the word. Anathema. Anathema. All right? Anathema, anathema. All right? Anathema, anathema. From page 15 all the way to page number 19 is about, all of these pages are about these two words. Okay? Let's look at it just a little bit, because we can't just jump over this. It's real important. Okay? Anathema is the good sense of it. You dedicate your life. Once you put your hand to the plow, what are you supposed to do?
now look back.
Don't look back. Just do it.
Right.
You do it.
You're not worthy of God's kingdom.
Or you're not worthy of it. You do it. You dedicate your life. Leave your life in God's hands. You can't take it back. It's not yours anymore. Once you've given yourself to the Lord. I remember when I came and joined this church a long time ago, quite a few years ago. I went and joined the church. And a couple of weeks later, maybe a month later, 2 months later, I went down and prayed at the altar again. And people said, well, what do you have to do? Get saved again? I said, no. What'd you go down there for? I said, I just gave my life to God. It's not mine anymore. I just gave it to God. It's His.
You found him.
Yeah. When you lose it, you find it. He that loses his life shall find it. Right? And for the rest of my life, I have concentrated on one thing, and that's teaching God's Word. Trying to make what I know about the Scriptures and communicate it to others so you can repeat it after I'm gone. All right? Hand it on. Pass the baton. That's it. Started teaching this book of Genesis on Sunday afternoon for one reason. I don't know anybody to teach advanced reading and research in Hebrew and what really the Genesis says. So I said, well, I got to get it down on video and everything, and it's gone all over the country. They're studying that thing from here to Timbuktu and back. They're having a ball with it, and I'm having a ball teaching it. I have a ball teaching Greek because it is the living Word of God. The living Word. We're not fooling around with the translation here. We're talking about God breathed. Okay? This is it. This is the inspired. You can get your theology straightened right out in this. All right? Anathema. Let's go back and look at some of this. All right? Anathema. It's what we call the sacrum. That means the sacred term of it. Sacrum. Latin is sacrum. Okay? The sacred part. In the good sense. All right? Sacrum. And Numbers 21 and verse 3. Let's go there real quick. Let's look at some of this in the Old Testament. Now, we'll look at it in Hebrew, but the idea is a Septuagint. The Septuagint translation, because that's where the New Testament was made up. They studied the Septuagint a lot, and so the terms that they use are very much related to the Greek Septuagint Old Testament. Okay? Who has got Numbers 21 and verse 3? Numbers 21 verse 3.
Got it.
You got it over there?
The Lord heard the voice of Israel and delivered up the Canaanites. Then they utterly destroyed them and their cities. Thus the name of the place was called Harmah.
Harmah. That means cursed. That's anathema. 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 Cursed. All right. Harmah. That's the Hebrew word. It means cursed. In Greek, it will be anathema. Okay. Cursed. Unredeemable. All right. Let's go to Joshua 6, 17 through 19. Joshua 6, 17 through 19. We got to go back and look at some of this stuff so you'll understand it a little better. Joshua 6, 17 through 19. Anybody there? Mm-hmm. Young man, you got one of the Bibles you carry around, the little thing? That's it, huh? Could you read that for me, please?
I'm not there yet.
Okay. Joshua 6, 17 through 19. You're there, Rebecca? All right. This is, by the way, that's your name in Greek, in Hebrew.
Oh,
Rebecca. All right.
17.
Yes.
Now the city shall be doomed by the Lord to destruction.
Doomed. Look at that word doomed. That's anathema. Go ahead.
It and all who are in it, only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all who are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that were sent. And you, by all means, keep yourselves from the accursed things, lest you
From the accursed things.
lest you become accursed when you take of the accursed things.
All right, you become accursed when you take of the accursed things. What happened to these Christians at Galatia? They became accursed when they went back into the Judaism. They became accursed. The world. I think we ought to look a little different to the world. We ought to smell a little different from the world. We ought to talk a little different from the world.
The witness is no longer valuable.
It's no longer. If you're not different from the world, how can they tell there's anything different about you? All right? Deuteronomy 13, 16 and 17. Deuteronomy 13, 16 and 17. Let's look at that. Numbers 21 and verse 3. Oh, I already did that. Forget that. Deuteronomy 13, 16 and 17. Who's got that one? You got that one again, Rebecca? All right, go ahead.
16?
Deuteronomy 13, 16, and 17.
And you shall gather all its plunder into the middle of the street, and completely burn with fire the city and all its plunder for the Lord your God, and it shall be a heap forever, it shall not be built again. So none of the accursed things shall remain in your hand, that the Lord may turn from the fierceness of his anger and show you mercy, have compassion on you, and multiply you, just as he swore to your fathers.
Paul the Apostle is using a term that was well used in the Old Testament. He was a Hebrew and a Greek scholar, and they knew what he was talking about. Now, this is a hard term now. This term that he's using now is going to lambast them. It's going to shake their world up. You know what he's saying to them? He said, damn you people. Reprobate you are. Damn you. May you forever be accursed. May you never be saved. May you be cut off forever. That's what he's saying. All right. All right. Let's go and look in Acts 23 and verse 14. Anathema. Acts 23 and verse 14 in the New Testament. A-K-I-N-A-D-F-A-K. Acts of the Apostles. I usually call it Acts of the Churches. It's the Acts what the churches were doing back then. The Acts of the Churches. Are you over there, Brother Brady?
No, 21.
Acts 23 and verse 14. Are you there, young man? Go ahead. Right.
And they came to the chief priests and the elders and said, we have bound ourselves under a solemn oath to taste nothing until we have killed Paul.
Why, they have damned themselves. They have cursed themselves if they eat anything before they kill the Apostle Paul. Do you see how mean these people were? It says that they loved the praise of men rather than God. Loved it.
Well, new terms come to my attention within the last 2 or 3 days. And it has to do with the church, has to do with our country. And the phrase is creative destruction. Creative destruction.
Yeah.
And the motive of the heart
Yeah.
is creative destruction.
Romans 9 and 3. Romans 9 and 3. Romans 9 and 3. How fast can you make that little machine work? Can you get there?
Yeah.
Are you there? Romans 9 and 3.
For I could wish that I myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren.
Accursed. Accursed. Paul the Apostle said there that he wished that he was cut off, never to be redeemed for the nation of Israel. But right now here in this term, he's telling he wished these people that are propagating this were accursed and cut off forever. 1 Corinthians 12 and 3. 1 Corinthians 12 and 3. 1 Corinthians 12 and verse 3. Actually 1 through 3. Are you there, Randall?
Now concerning the spiritual gifts, brethren, I do not want you to be unaware. You know that when you were pagans, you were led astray to the new idols, however you were led. Therefore, I make known to you that no one speaking by the Spirit of God says Jesus is accursed, and no one can say Jesus is Lord except by the Holy Spirit.
All right, then Jesus is cut off. Now, your modern-day Jehovah's Witnesses say that Jesus, the man Jesus, was never raised from the grave. Therefore, he was cut off, accursed. It's a lie. That's a lie. And it's a damnable lie. They have accursed themselves. They have cursed themselves that way. 1 Corinthians 16:22. 1 Corinthians 16:22. Let's look at that. 1 Corinthians 16:22. Who's over there? David, are you there?
Yeah. 16:22.
Yes.
If anyone does not have the love of the Lord, a curse be on him. Come, O Lord.
All right. What it is says there is anathema, maranatha. It's Aramaic. It is Chaldean. That term is a Chaldean, Syriac Chaldean word. It said, let him be accursed until the Lord comes back and judges him himself. That's what it literally means. Let him be cut off and separated and damned forever. There's two Greek words for dead. Necros and thanatos. Okay? Necros means you got a dead body. Thanatos means you're double dead. 2 times dead. Thanatos, double dead. Those people in the lake of fire are double dead. Well, they died once and then God resurrected them and dumped them into the lake of fire to be thanatos, separated forever. For the wages of sin is death. Thanatos. For the wages of sin is death. Double dead. Double dead. Anathema and anathos. Anathema.
This verse
Cursed. Yes, brother.
pretty much answers about the angel that gave his gospel to Joseph Smith, Moroni, whatever his name was.
Moroni, yeah. That angel is cursed. If an angel did give Joseph Smith anything, it was a fallen angel. I can assure you. Do angels work in the field of mankind today? According to the scriptures, they do. Can a false spirit lead you? Oh, that's right, absolutely. Lead you astray. And that's what Paul is saying here to them. Now, we only got into a couple of verses tonight. And we got another, we're going to look at anathema a little more next week. All right? Anathema. We'll look at some more verses there before we look at it. And Galatians 1, 8, and 9 cross-references to everything that I showed you tonight from the Old and the New Testament. All right?
Will you start on verse 8 next
I'm going to start on verse 9 next week.
Next one.
Not
Okay.
verse 9. All right? We're going to look at it next week. Do you have any questions? Does this clear up these two words just a little bit? All right? Did you learn something from God's Word? Something in depth? A little more than you would look at from an English translation? Brother Phil came up to me here a while back and he said, you know what? We've handicapped ourselves. We didn't study like you did. We have to go learn it out of a book. He said, you can just get up there and do it. But I'll tell you what, I had to study in the books too. But you become familiar, and when you educate yourself in the languages, then you aren't handicapped.
Learn from the Jews, then we need to learn from the Jews. They turn to the rabbis
Yeah,
instead of the Word of God.
yeah, the rabbis.
So we need to be very careful. We do not turn to the
Turn
rabbis.
to the Scripture.
To the Bible.
But know the Scriptures, for in it you will have freedom
Mm.
and truth. Hallelujah. Freedom and truth. All right. Do you have any questions? Did I totally founder you tonight, young man?
No, I learned one word.
All right. All right. Anathema, anathema. All right. Brother David, what do you think? You got anything? Dakota,
I got it.
have you got any outstanding biblical truth that you learned tonight? You know, her name means a human being. Dakota. Human beings. Human beings. Well, I'm going to turn you loose on the world. Go out there and do something eternal this week. Go out there and study a little bit about this. See what you can think. I gave you some scriptures tonight. We can damn ourselves if we're not careful. You can damn yourself in religion if you're not careful. Careful means what?
Sometimes I go to my home and I ask the Lord to show me anything in my house that will keep us, separate us from Him.
Uh-huh.
And if He shows me something, I get rid of it.
Yeah.
And because I want my house to be welcome there to begin with, and it is pleasing. That makes any sense to me.
That's the way our lives ought to be too. Our homes and our lives. Our homes, oikodome, our homes. Our homes, that's where we build ourselves up at home. You know, you go home, you go out in the world beats you up.
Amen.
You go home to recover. And that's the place you commune with God mostly at home by yourself in your closet, so to speak. And you come to your ecclesia, your assembly, and you fellowship with God's people. I hope that fellowshipping with God's people here tonight has built you up domed you up and cleaned your lives up and refreshed you in God's Word somewhat. All right. Brother, would you dismiss us in prayer, Brother Brady? Would you like to?
Our Father, we want to say thank you that you never leave us alone. You always are dealing with our hearts and our lives. We want to say thank you for that. Thank you, Jesus, for shedding your blood for our sins. Forgive us. And teach us, Father. And thank you for Brother Phillips here that explains your word to us. Help us to learn in a way that's pleasing to you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.